Hello and welcome to Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. I am Bernard Abekochu. Today there's a lot to talk about, right from our national team B straight into some local action. Then we'll talk about the greatest league on planet Earth, the English Premier League. We have a bit to also talk about in relation to what's been happening in Italy. My guys are well seated. We'll go for a short commercial break. We'll return in studio. There's a lot more to know here on Channel 1 TV on Scorecard. With me, Bernard Abekochu, and the guys. Welcome back to Scorecard on Channel 1 TV. Of course, with me, Bernard Abekochu, but I'm not here alone. The guys are here as well, Fred Mate, and my colleague on the Channel 1 Sports Desk, Yao Jaminta. Oh, you're looking fresh already. Since the S-Mass is pretty nice.
I'm trying.
That's amazing.
I'm trying.
That's good. Freddie, everything solid?
We're there inside small.
Your team challenging Liverpool for the title?
It's too early to call. Let's kill the January transfer, then we can talk about the title race.
Before we get into the January transfer, look, the local Black Stars, we called them in the past, now the Black Galaxies, had an opportunity to try their luck, according to the coach, to make sure they get to a higher level in football. Talk about the Chan proper. They were unable to make it far away in Nigeria. I want us to get a glimpse of that. We'll come in studio to discuss what this means for Ghana football. Watch this. The Black Galaxies. Players gathered from our local team to form a national team, at the local level, if you want, who go to participate in the Chan. Tell us what we have in our league. And that's the performance. Nigeria beating us by 3-1. Is it shameful? Have we gotten to that level, yeah? Have we got into that level? Is it shameful, performance-wise?
Shameful performance. I wouldn't say shameful because Ghana didn't lose by, let's say, 7-0.
Oh, okay.
But at the end of the day, it's disappointing, nonetheless. It's disappointing. The fact that we didn't lose by a wide margin or a wider margin does not mean that it is not disappointing. It's very disappointing that Ghana lost to Nigeria and failed to qualify to compete in the Chan next year. Ghana hasn't been able to put together a consistent run in terms of appearance when it comes to the Chan for a while. I think with the exception of 2009 edition, which was the maiden edition, 2011 we qualified to compete in that championship. Then we went to the 2014 edition also. Aside that, it has been on and off in terms of the appearances because we hadn't been to the Chan for a while, up until the 2022 edition that we qualified to play in Algeria, and we managed to get to the quarterfinals. We lost to Niger and got kicked out, and so we were trying to make it back-to-back appearances or second appearance in a row for the first time in a while, and we failed to do that. And for me, that was very disappointing, and I was more disappointed in Didi Dramani's handling of the whole issue. Look at the goals that we conceded. We conceded 3 goals in a span of 7 minutes. 7 minutes. And this guy was an assistant coach to Otuado when Ghana competed at the 2022 World Cup.
True.
And under Otuado at the World Cup, we conceded goals at the same kind of rate.
True.
Look at the goals we conceded. With the exception of that Cristiano Ronaldo goal, we conceded against Portugal, the first one. All the goals that we conceded afterwards, we conceded 6 goals in all. And when you put it all together, the time periods between the goals we conceded, it amounted to 13 minutes. So we conceded 6 goals in 13 minutes. And in this game, we conceded 3 goals in 6 minutes and 30-something seconds. So we rounded up, that's 7 minutes. That is not good at all. For a coach who is experienced and well-learned as Didi Dramani, I expected way better from him. He should have been able to do something, get your keeper to lie on the turf, just to break that momentum that Nigeria had. And if you look at the kind of goals that we conceded, very poor. Why do you play such a very high defensive line in a situation where we do not have VAR in operation? And you look at the third goal, for instance, Benjamin Asare is not the best when it comes to passing out from the back. Why do you have your coach? Why do you have your goalkeeper passing out from the back in such a situation, especially when you are 2 goals down and your team is virtually in shambles? They are struggling to hold on to the game, as it were. And you have your goalkeeper who's not the most comfortable with the ball at his feet, trying to pass out from the back. For me, that was poor coaching and a very poor job delivered by Didi Dramani. And I'm very disappointed in him and the overall output of the team.
What's the difference? The last time we went and got to a higher stage, the players that we had at display and these players we have now, do you feel those players were brighter or better, if you want, than this crop of players we had?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say there's nothing good happening in Ghana football, so I don't see who is better and who is the worst. Look, if you, like my brother rightly said, if you look at the picture, it tells you how declining we are. You got into the group stages, knockout stage, you were kicked off. Now you are even failing to qualify. So how then do you compare the two class of players in the two eras? It tells that there's nothing home to write about. And this is the story of how your local league is being run. Your local league is being run in a way that you are finding it difficult to get players for under 17. You are finding it difficult to get players for under 20. So obviously, this Black Galaxies will fail. And for a coach who have been with the national team, we expected your experience to tell at the end of the day.
But these players are players who had a player according to the Black Stars. The same group of players have players who have had, who've been labeled as, one of the, or those are the best players that we can have in our league. For example, you take the goalkeeper. They talk about the number of clean sheets,
8 or so.
And then he's in there. And Kasim moves to the Black Stars and comes back. Then we have a player who goes to play for the under 17. What's his name? The striker.
Yeah.
Jerry, and he's in the setup. So what is the missing link?
Look, you look at your league and you pick up your best. But at the end of the day, your league is below standard. That's the reality. Let's face it. Our league is below standard in the sense that we can't compete with most of the countries around us. And again, against Ghana, between Ghana and Nigeria, it's not just an ordinary game. There's a bragging right around it. So whoever gets the nod, feels proud about it. And for you to play the first game in Ghana in a goalless draw, we expected that when you go out there, you sit at the back, soak the pressure, possibly play on the counter. At least a 1-1 draw and away goal could have said that's true. For me, I always tell myself that, look, if your national team is struggling and you want to put a coach to build up towards that, these are the players we can say that if you don't call the foreign-based players, we can rely on them. So it tells you that these are players not to rely on. Now, you put coaches in a certain terrain where, to me, I say it's no. If Didi Dramani is good, let him go coach under 17. Progressive. If you want the story, look at the Spanish coach now, where he started his trade from. And today he's enjoying the success in the national team.
Angola's coach.
And of course, Cote d'Ivoire's coach who won
exactly.
them, of course.
So why are we not doing the same thing? We believe that we have top class of coaches. We assembled Otuado, Chris Hilton, Didi Dramani, and who again? George Boateng. 4.
Yeah.
Including all these people in the Black Stars. We feel that they all qualify for the Black Stars. But you are forgetting your Chan, you are forgetting your under 17. So if we think that they are very good, they should go back to the under 17 and 20. Let them make the progression. Then we can see that these people are ripe to coach our national teams. So today we are seeing that even though he's not right for the national team, he's also not good for the Chan. So where would you place him?
I think he's good for the under 17, and you make a brilliant point there because he's more of a teacher. I see him more of a teacher than an outright tactician.
Would you call most of our experienced coaches like that, the teacher bit?
Some of them, but not all of them. But with Didi Dramani in particular, I think he will be best suited for the under 17 or under 20, for instance, because I look at what he did with the Black Maidens.
Yeah.
Coaching girls or women, particularly in our part of the world, is very difficult because they are introduced to the sport quite late, especially at the organized level. But look at what he did with them. He managed to qualify them to the World Cup and all. I think if he is the one building or molding out raw talented players, I think it will serve Ghana better than he trying to coach or teach already made men in the football sense.
Okay.
His principles are that of a guy who can mold a developing player, an up and coming player, someone who is a youngster, who is an amateur, who just got introduced to professional football, rather than someone like let's say Benjamin Asari, who is pretty much a made man as a footballer, as a professional footballer. So I think also knowing the strengths and weaknesses of the coaches and knowing where to align them will also help in developing the football. But at the end of the day, it's just this failure to qualify is just an example of how bad things are. And yeah, when it rains, it pours, and this is where we are.
Well, these are interesting times for our football here in the country, guys. The numbers will be scrolling down the screen, so you can send in your thoughts. We'll be picking them for you on the show as well. So keep tabs on that. I've got a few messages coming in, and we'll have the opportunity to get into that. So my last question I want to find out from you guys: where do we go from here? Yeah, where do we go? Where's our football heading towards at this current moment?
Well, like I always say, it's all about being principled and being honest and accountable. And so, if we want to get things right, these are the principles that we need to follow through with. But unfortunately, time and again, our administrators have been given multiple opportunities to reset and get things right. But time and time again, they fail to honor these principles, and we end up in this bad state, knowing very well that they are safe in their positions.
Yeah.
Because, like I always say, the GFA is a private company.
Yeah.
And so only the stakeholders or the shareholders are the ones who can effect change. But the people who are also part of that company are not helping the process by forcing change when there needs to be forced change. Like in this situation, Ghana football is in a rut right now. But those who have the power that can, let's say, call for an emergency Congress, and let's say put forward that the notion that we want to impeach Keto Kreku from the GFA presidency role, they won't do it. So at the end of the day, it's just a vicious cycle. As our vice president said once, it's just a vicious cycle, and we'll keep continuing this cycle and having these bad diminishing returns until people in power and in charge and in authority decide to do the right things. And then aside that, there is nothing that we can do aside continue to preach what needs to be done to the people in charge.
Great. I want to take this message, then we delve into. I see Accra has some folk win and Kumasi and Santo Kotoko win, so it's interesting. But this message is from Abdul Wadud from Abosu. He says, "It is sad to see our football always going backwards. Some of us don't believe that a Ghanaian team ever won the Champions League." This one also reads, "Ghanaians have been making noise that local players must represent the Black Stars. I have my doubts if they can win any match." This is from Kweku inside La Paz. So we invite more of your messages on the numbers you see on the screen. Now let's talk about Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi and Asante Kotoko. It seemed to be an amazing end of the year for these two teams, with Kotoko beating Gold Stars and of course Accra Hearts of Oak winning against Accra Lions. So I want you to tackle the Accra Hearts of Oak, Accra Lions, and yeah, we'll tackle the Kotoko. So for you have a minute, Accra Hearts of Oak, for example, is this a turnaround? Are we going to see massive improvement in the coming year with Abubakar Ouattara in post?
Well, it's a $10 affair because at a certain point he was not performing at the start of the season. He started picking up some wins. He was beaten by Kotoko in the biggest derby on the Ghanaian calendar. Then he needed to get his house in order. I mean, watching the game, he took the lead. He became 1-1. He was down by 2-1 at a certain point. He needed to introduce Wayo from the bench, and then he was able to win the game 3-2. So it tells you that, look, he's got something right with the team, but the consistency level is what most fans are seeking for. And Accra Hearts of Oak is a team not to be termed as a local champion, but a continental champion. So if you are preparing the team, you shouldn't focus on winning just the league, but ask yourself, am I preparing the team to compete in Africa? Should we make a point to belong to the African terrain? What can we do there? But most of the time, these coaches do sack up their mind that, look, I'm in to win the Ghana League, and then if I win the league, what's next? Then they are stuck. I mean, it's not only the coaches, it's the whole mindset of the club or the institution itself, that we only play for the league and not for the continental glory. And that's a diminishing returns on both the league as a whole and the country as well. So for me, Ouattara has done quite well, but he needs to ensure consistency. And again, some of the goals that Accra House of Folk do concede are very basic. If you want to win the league, these are things that you have to avoid. I remember the game against Kotoko when he lost the game. Even though some of the players played well, we could see the fans, dashing out some money, showing some appreciation, because let us see what the footprint is like. Where we get to see that, we will know the writing on the wall is going to tell us that, look, this is the coach who can succeed in the coming years and possibly make up a mark in Africa. If not, then I'm sorry, there's no hope for the Phobia boys.
Interesting. Let's talk about that club that won 25 league trophies in Ghanaian football. Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Is it looking brighter for Dr. Prosper Nateogum?
Oh, yes, it is. Again, just like Accra Hearts of Folk, they've struggled with consistency. They started the season on a very good note, doing the 1-goal project, winning by 1-0 consistently. Then they lost 4 games in a row before they managed to get a win over Aduana Stars. Then they played in the FA Cup against a lower tier side, got a win. Then the Accra Hearts of Folk results came, and they managed to get a win over that. And now they've won 4 league games in a row. And so, yes, at some point they lost 4 games in a row. At some point now they've won 4 games in a row. And so the swing in momentum is quite extreme. If they can, or Dr. Prosper Nateogum can get his team to be able to reduce that and bring it a little bit to the middle, I honestly believe they will be able to win the title. I tip them to win the title before the start of the season. And the fact that Kwame Poku has returned, and they wouldn't need to overly rely on Albert Amon to get the goals for them is also key. His first game on his return to Kotoko, he scored in this game against BBN Gold Star. Very smart finish, received the pass just inside the penalty box, shifted the ball to his right very quickly, and just slotted the ball into the net. So he's a very good player to come in for Kotoko at this key moment in time, because Albert Amon was with the Black Galaxies in Nigeria. And once you take him out of the team, they struggle to score goals. And with Kwame Poku coming in, I think the timing is just perfect, and they should be able to see out the rest of the season. I'm knowing very well that the January transfer window is also on the verge of getting open, and they can register more players. So I'm still tipping Kumasi Asante Kotoko to win the league, but it's just that they have there when it comes to the consistency.
Great. I'm sure Fred is also wanting Accra House of Folk to play better and win it. Let me pick some few messages. We'll go on a break, return and talk about the greatest league on planet Earth, the English Premier League. This one reads, "Good evening, brothers. I'm very much disappointed in Didi Dramani. Super Nana from Aguna Swedro." This is from Kwame Jedu from Ojobi. He says, "What a sweet victory for my darling club, Accra Hearts of Folk over Lions. We saw the real Phobia spirit today, Phobia Masters." He says, "Good evening, guys. Ernest from La. Since the GFA don't want to do in-depth stats, I have done mine. The team that has the most goals from substitute in the league is Vision FC with 5. Hearts of Folk is second with 4, and only 2 teams have not gotten goals off the bench this season." I picked the last one. It says, "Good evening, Channel 1 Sports. My name is Hamid from Wa." It says, "I don't think we should be blaming the coach. We don't have good players, and that is reflecting the substandard level of our league, which the results we have indicate is very bad from our football administration." He talks about, he says, this one also says, "I'm Ike from Chancellor from Kumasi." Okay, I'm Ike, the Chancellor from Kumasi. "I would be surprised if the Black Galaxies had beaten their Nigerian counterpart. Even the Ghana Football Association president and his executive council members knew we were going to lose." Well, I do not know that. Ghana football needs a total overhaul. And I'll pick the last one. It says, "You can tell by the spectatorship for both games. See the numbers of people who went to the stadium to watch the match in Ghana and Nigeria. This is sad. Our game is not attractive." So these are messages you've brought in. We invite more, from the numbers on your screen. Then we'll go for a quick commercial break here. On return in studios, we'll take a look at the greatest league on earth, the English Premier League. On Channel 1 TV with me, Bernard Abeko, Triao Jaminta here with me. as well as Fred Mate. Let's now take a look at the greatest league on planet Earth, the English Premier League. So we take a back-to-back, insert of 2 games. We do the Leicester City, Manchester City, which City beats Leicester by 2-0. Then Nottingham Forest also beating Everton by 2-0. We'll get a clips of that. We'll come back in studio. There's a lot more to talk about. No Espirito Santos, hard guy. And the manner in which he does it, it's brilliant, isn't it? I want you to talk us through Nottingham Forest. They climb up not only into top 4, but are second, and they seem to be want us to think that they are fighting Liverpool for the title. Is that the situation?
I mean, this is Robin Hood. You know how Robin Hood does his things. He always knows how to steal from the rich to make himself great. And look, they are one of the best counter-attacking teams in the league so far. I'm not surprised because they've got an experienced coach. They've got the players well groomed in. They only play once in the week, very much relaxed, very calm. They stick to their formation, their tactics. Whoever they substitute, the same style of play. And for me, everything on the day, look, it might work for you the first time, the second time, and the third time, but it will always not be lucky that that formation is not sustainable. The goalless draw against Arsenal, the 1-1 against Chelsea, likewise against Man City. But this is the time where you have to move away from playing the top teams and then go on and play a better game, a better attacking game, and possibly win the game at home to ensure that the fans get something to share, especially when you have new owners and then they've got the coach has got their backing and you say, look, Perez, this attacking formation you are seeing, I will need 1 or 2 players come few days, that's the general market. And he fails to do that. So it tells that Everton have a long way to go. They need to ensure that if they are to sustain, they are staying in the Premier League, they have to do much more better. But for Nottingham Forest, let them cruise as well as they can, but I'm not sure they'll make the top 4.
Oh, interesting revelation from there. But, you watch Nottingham Forest, you watch a player like Chris Wood, the fashion or manner in which he scored. These are goals from typical strikers who want to win a league, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's all confidence. Confidence is such an important trait when it comes to sports or when it comes to the psyche of athletes, especially athletes at the top level. And you can tell that this guy is really confident. And because to pull off that finish, I would have never thought of putting Chris Wood and that kind of finish in one sentence. But he was able to pull it off, and he has been able to pull off a very consistent run of goal scoring prowess. And it's just down to the confidence that he has as a player, because he has scored I believe at least 8 goals. Yeah, 8 goals
the best run in
this season, and the best run in his career, and the fact that it is yielding results for the team, and the team as a whole is playing with a lot of confidence, and it's just oozing out of them, and that's how come they're able to score those kind of goals and they're able to get those kind of results. And now they are ranked second in the league. No one ever saw this coming. And it's just about confidence. They're having a very good start to the season.
Yeah, talks about confidence. Erling Haaland, you are an Arsenal fan. You feel his confidence is back with that goal?
Not really, but I think as a striker, once you have been starved of goals and any way the goal is gonna come, you would love it, you would appreciate it. You can ask Gabriel Jesus, who was born on Christmas and just scoring those 5 goals. But for Erling Haaland, he needed to ensure that, look, the club is really suffering. They needed to come out, and they are creating chances. So as a striker, once the team is creating chances, the mantle is on you to ensure that you would score. And the player I've criticized so much, give them the opening goal, Sevinho. I mean, a well-taken goal, ensure that he punished the goalkeeper for his poor goalkeeping, and set up Erling Haaland to score the second. And you could see from his
no, I think it's harsh on the goalkeeper because he points it away from the point of action.
Look,
if you can see the replay, he points the ball away from the point of action. So
if he points the ball, what's next? Am I ready for the rebound? Once you can't grab it, you parry it for the second rebound. But once you parry it and you are lazy, or you were seconds late getting up to the ball, you make room for an attacking player. So I would say it's a plus on the attacker to be swift to respond to a possible reaction of a parry or a punch, then he capitalized on it. So I would say it's a plus to the attacker for, ensuring that
he pushed it away from the point of action.
But again, just make sure that you are able to get the second ball.
But where was the defender? Where was the fullback?
I mean, that is basic football.
Honestly, I won't put that on the goalkeeper because he points it away from the point of action. If he had pointed it back into the path of the point of action, then yeah, it's all on the goalkeeper.
If he had pointed it in front of him, there were 3 Leicester players come, they could have cleared it.
Yeah, but the rule is punch it away from the point of action. Yeah. You don't punch it back into the point of action.
But what's next from your parry?
That's where the defenders need to do their jobs.
Okay.
So for me, I think it's a bit harsh on the goalkeeper to criticize the goalkeeper for this one because the ball came at him. Instead of punching it this way, he punched it this way. He punched it away from the point of action. Yeah. And so it is now the keeper has done his job. Yeah. He has made the save and he has eliminated the danger to an extent by punching the ball away from the point of action. So it is on the defenders to be alert to sweep.
If he had pointed in front of him, he had 3 defenders. Yeah. So these were your defenders. There was no Leicester player in his 6-yard box. So punch it to a place where your players can clear it up the second bound. But where you put it, none of your players were there because there was a shift in play. So obviously you have your right back moving to the centre back position. But the player on the 7th, playing on the 7th position, has to draw back. Yeah. But he was nowhere to be found. Your midfielders who could also sit into the defence, probably to shift the right, they were also not nowhere to be found. So I would say it's a whole thing around the whole team because they lack confidence. So these are the kind of goals they would concede.
Pick some few messages we have in here. This one says, good evening, Channel 1 Sport. Why are we always going back? Ghana football is gradually falling to the floor. It's your boy, Osei Michael from Marseille. Good evening, I'm Charles Scott. Ghana football is in shambles, he says. I'm Shadrach from Nungwa. I think our local coaches are not good enough. They can't bring the best out of our players. That's the problem, not that our league is not, you want to say it's not at its lowest standard. Good evening, Channel 1 Sport. I think this match will be the turning point for Manchester City. We are the Sky Blues of Manchester, and this is your boy, Osei. All right, so we have all those messages. Keep more coming in. Let's go for the next game, guys. I feel it will give us an opportunity to observe the mistakes that transpired also in this game. It was Tottenham Hotspur. I always watch the coach, and I mean now, like, he seemed not to even understand the team he's coaching. They played 2-2 with Wolves, and of course, that Liverpool win was massive against Kudus Mohammed's West Ham United. Let's get back-to-back clips from that. Then we'll come to discuss whether Kudus should stay at West Ham or probably maybe he should be allowed to leave in January. We have it, Spurs failing to win at home. Fans really not happy. In fact, it's repetitive. Always fans are not happy with how Spurs is going. Then at the other side, at the London Stadium, they were also shocked. Liverpool having 5 goals, at this stage of the competition to wrap up, the league first half in December. I mean, yeah, you didn't have the opportunity on radio. Now talk to us about Liverpool, and they seem to be super consistent with what they are doing.
Oh yeah, I'm seated in this chair on this platform, and Coach Christopher Nimley dropped this whole meme about apeke, and it was about Man United. Look, I think Man United is the wrong team to have that song associated with. I think Liverpool is the team to be associated with that apeke song because actually team apeke rough. Because look, they look unstoppable. Everything about this team is on point. The cohesion is on point, the fluidity is on point, and by a few mistakes here and there, everything just works out well for them. And once you have Mo Salah getting back to that level that he was operating at, let's say 3 seasons ago, then you know that you have really a nearly unstoppable force. And one player who has really impressed me is Ryan Gravenberch, because he is the, honestly, you take away the goals.
I mean, the living legend in the team.
I think you take away the goals from Mo Salah and the assists. I think he is the one who has ensured that Ancelotti's system and style has worked at Liverpool this very early on in the season and in his tenure as Liverpool manager. And yeah, everything is on point, because once you have that kind of coordination in the middle and at the back, once you ally that to the firepower that they have, I mean, it's pretty much curtains for everyone. And I just to touch on the question you asked before we went for the highlights. Mo Kudus, look, he really impressed. He balled out in this game. But one of the commentators singled out a key issue that Mohamed Salah is a guy who is in the rock band and they are just excelling. But Mohamed Kudus looks to be that solo act where he's doing everything, but nobody else is supporting him because West Ham lack the structure that Liverpool has. And that, for me, right now, is a problem.
But he formed a solid partnership with Paquetá earlier on.
And Jared Bowen. But at the end of the day, that was under a different manager, under David Moyes. Now, Julian Lopetegui has come in, brought in some players, and it just doesn't fit, knowing very well that once you bring in some players, they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and it needs to complement each other. This West Ham team, the players that they have, per their player profile, they don't complement each other, and that's why there's a structural problem at West Ham, and they are not performing as they should. But for Mo Kudus, look, if I'm one of the owners at West Ham, I'll be looking at him like, I need to sell him now, because at this point in time, they are not getting the best of returns from the investment that they made in their acquisitions. They brought in the likes of Guido Rodriguez. They brought in Somerville. They brought in Fulcrook. At this point in time, their value is low, and they are likely not going to be able to recoup the money that they spent on these guys. And who is your biggest asset right now? It's Mo Kudus. Yes, the fans won't like it, but at the end of the day, Liverpool are looking at him, believe it or not. After this display that we saw from him tonight, they will definitely be looking at him. If Mohamed Salah is to be let go, he is the perfect replacement for Mohamed Salah for Liverpool. At the end of the day, he's African and he's also called Mohamed. So he fits the bill. And so for me, Mohamed Kudus, I think they should sell. Had Arsenal not been in need of a striker, he would have been a player that Arsenal should also look at. But Arsenal need a striker more than a creative player like Mohamed Kudus. So
Okay. you want more Kudus though because he feels Saka is out.
Saka is injured. Somebody solid. I need somebody on the left hand flank. Similarly creative like
him. And a guy who can beat any player in a one-on-one situation, a ball juggler, more or less. I think Arsenal can give it a look, but I think the striker is more of a priority.
I mean, we need both because Odegaard needs to gel with somebody on that flank, and we tried that with Martinelli. It didn't work. So somebody like Kudus with his creativity. The one to link up with Odi would perfectly work. Look, I agree with what he said. It is time that Mo may look at another option and leave that place as quickly as possible. And for Liverpool, at the start of the season, I said, look, they won't be able to top the league. Simple because I didn't see Gravenberch fit into the Firmino.
No one saw this coming.
I feel like at certain point he'll break down. But what the coach has done is perfectly well. When we are winning, he takes him off. How he's able to manage Trent very well, Robertson, and then all the attacking players of Liverpool are scoring. Even Jota from injury is scoring. Nunes once in the way finds his scoring boots. So it's good for him. But my brothers on the other side, North London side, look,
he's talking about
Tottenham Spurs. They are conceding. And for me, how Wolves is able to get into this game is because they find some confidence by winning the last two games, keeping a clean sheet. Despite the fact that Cunha was injured during the game, they still believe that we can do something. And for a team who's got almost all his back four plus the goalkeeper injured, you can still try to punch in and poach in. Gradually there will be holes. And Larson was able to punish them for it. So for Spurs, the coach came out and said, in my second season, I'm used to winning trophies, something that Spurs fans are allergic to it. You want to bring that to the fold.
Let's see
where it's going to happen to you.
Great. Let me pick two messages. We'll go on a break. We'll return. There's more here on Channel 1 TV. This one reads, it says, I'm Bryce from Agona Studio. It says, Nottingham Forest is disturbing Chelsea and they should be very careful. He says, tell them. Yes, I'm telling them. Good evening to you guys. I think for Man United, the least said about them, the better, because I don't see them doing any good this season. That's what he decided not to send his name, so coded guy. Now let's go for this quick commercial break. When we return in studios, a lot more discussion here on Channel 1 TV on Scorecard. See you soon. This is Scorecard on Channel 1 TV with me, Bernard Abeko, trader Ziao Jaminta with me in the studios, my colleague on the Citi Sports and of course Channel 1 Sports Desk, and Fred Matias. So, guys, let's take a look at some of the games to expect tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So there's Brentford, Arsenal in the pick. I want you to talk to me about Arsenal. What is going to work now? That's Nottingham Forest as second on just after Liverpool on the table.
Let me take my emotions away from my
Do
club.
that for me.
But look, Arsenal fans, we will struggle. I mean, there are certain key players in the team. When they are missing, we struggle. Saliba, we struggle. Odegaard, we struggle. Saka, we struggle. Brentford have been good at home. The only team that has been able to take away a maximum point from them was Nottingham Forest. And we are going to a place whereby it's very, very difficult. We need to ensure that we take our chances. We cannot let things go by, or else in Boma, Wisa, they would punish us. And look, for the investors, there will be more than a goal in this game, because you can't rely on a single game throughout the 90 minutes to ensure the 3 points. So Arsenal needs to ensure that, look, at the back and in midfield is very solid. Then possibly in attack, we hope that Gabriel and Jesus would come to the party. If not, I'm sorry, Arsenal fans, this is not going to be looking good for us.
They'll be at the Brentford Community Stadium to, face Brentford. We'll see what pans out from that. But there's Manchester United at Old Trafford up against Newcastle United. Yeah, we'll get to talk about that. There's Ipswich, Chelsea, and of course, Aston Villa, Brighton. So the Aston Villa, Brighton, Ipswich, Chelsea, and Manchester United, Newcastle is happening tomorrow. And of course, so on the 1st of January, there is Brentford up against Arsenal as well. So these are the fixtures, coming up. And yeah, you get to talk to us about Manchester United. Charlie, the team will work.
What do you mean by it go work? Was it the players or the coach or?
Not the coach, the players.
Okay, now you're being specific. The players. No, it won't work.
But I'm picking.
I'm picking. I mean, far from it. The players, no, it won't work. I've seen enough of these players to believe that no amount of coaching or no level of coaching will be able to get them out of this whole pampered situation that they are in, where they know that whatever happens, there's pretty very, very little accountability that will happen. And that's why Garnacho is so full of himself, is so petulant, despite the fact that he hasn't played his way to earn that mark of, let's say, a prodigy who is pretty much the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Because let's face facts, how old is he? 20, 21?
Yeah.
At his age, Adnan Januzaj was playing better than Garnacho. But even him, look, he didn't get to that level where he was this arrogant, had this petulant attitude about himself. But this guy has it at this point in time, and he isn't delivering, he isn't producing. And so for me, until we you get to a point where Man United gets rid of such players, I doubt they'll be able to get out of this funk that they are in. Yeah, they might win a couple of trophies here and there, but overall, to get back to that elite level where they have this dominance about them that they had back in the day, no, they won't be able to get to that point until they get rid of these kind of players. Players like Garnacho, players like Marcus Rashford. No, they are bad. They are bad for the dressing room, and on top of that, on the field, they need to get rid of players who are just not a great fit in the manager's system. Guys like Casemiro, guys like Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen can do well. He can play as a deep line playmaker, but when you are in a Ruben Amorim team where you need to run a lot to cover up a lot of distance, to cover up a lot of tackles, ground, knowing very well that he play very high. Once his teammates go high and he is the one who is left in behind, and yes, he can spray a lot of passes around, conduct the offense practically very well, but once they beat that first line of the press, then Man United is exposed. And so those kind of players are just not good enough fits for Ruben Amorim and for the team. And so they need to also get rid of those players and bring in players who fit that system.
It's interesting, the Jenny Manchester is on what we really transpire with that football club. I'll pick two messages. This one says, I think this our Liverpool coach keep things simple. That makes magic. Not keeping the ball long makes it difficult for opponent to defend against us. Good evening, Channel 1 Sport. He says, I think Mohamed Kudus should move this January in order to unleash his full potential because Mohamed Kudus need a big stage to prove himself. This is from Michael. He says, greetings to his mom, Ekuya Dufie, inside Akoko Spurs. So that's move from the greatest league on planet Earth, the English Premier League. And I'll talk about, a team in Italy. They're on top of the table. Well, it is the number of goals that is separating them and Atalanta from who is staying on top of the table. It's Napoli. They beat Venezia by a goal to 0. Let's have the clips. We're coming to the studio to talk about them. I always caution teams that if you are playing against a team that is in the red zone, you have to be careful. They are going to play like lions. And if you don't take care, the result is going to shock you. Guys, briefly, let's talk about Napoli. Are they back? Are they winning the league this season?
This is Conte. Somebody noted for the Italians.
No, I think Inter Milan will win the league.
Look, I know Inter will win, but with Napoli, they have an experienced coach.
Yes.
So it's telling on how they are able to grant results. So it's going to be like a 3-man race, Napoli, Atalanta, and Inter.
Yeah.
But the supremacy is just because Inter has a crop of players who have played together over some 2-3 years, with also a coach who has only lost one final game. That was a game, the Champions League against Man City. In every final he's played, Inzaghi has won a trophy. And he knows how to marshal the players out. When Ataru is not scoring, Thuram comes in. And he's able to get in Bastoni, picking up some goals for him. Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan seems not to grow old. So it tells you how his fullbacks like DiMarco or Dumfries plays. So for Inter Milan, they needed to ensure that this is the right spot for them to pick at the top of the table, especially when Atlanta had played a 2-2 draw in the previous game.
Yeah, you disagree. What are you basing your point on?
Based on the track record, I look at Gasparini's Atalanta. Yes, they've done well over the years, but I look at their ability to deal with injuries. And let's say the Cantala is injured. Let's say Ademola Lookman is injured or he misses a couple of games. I've seen them quite struggle a little bit when they do not have these guys around. And Retegui, who comes off the bench for them, had been in good form at the start of the season, but he's cooled off a little bit. But I look at Atalanta, and I look at Inter Milan. Inter Milan, you can get contributions from everywhere. Yeah. Okay. But Atalanta is a little bit skewed towards a couple of players. And for Napoli, I don't think they are just ready yet. I think another season under Antonio Conte will get them in the right spot to be able to win the title.
Oh, interesting revelation from the guys. But, you watching us from your homes. This is Where Time Open with us on the show. Thank you for joining us. This has been Scorecard on Channel 1 TV, and it happens every Sunday and every single, other, weekend where we preview and take a look or glance at the major leagues in the world. And, of course, talk about what we saw in relation to the game. Thank you very much, Fred Martin. Thank you very much, Yao J. Minta. I am Bernard Abeko Ochre, and we'll see you soon.